But
is that meant to be the causeway over the Great Salt Lake?
it is.
It is.
Yeah, it's an old postcard.
I like that a lot.
Yes.
I wish it was still in service.
Yes.
Seems lame to have like such a cool piece of infrastructure and then just do nothing with it.
The longest causeway ever built in history when it opened. Wooden causeway.
I don't see like why we don't just get rid of it if we're not going to use it anymore, because it really screws up the lake.
I think, well, they breached it, but I think the whole imbalance in salinity drives salt industry. So I think that's the whole reason.
Oh, that makes sense,
Yeah.
actually. That's not a bad reason.
So, yeah, I think that's why they do it. But I think they try and balance it out the best they can.
Cool.
Yeah. I keep seeing excitement over the desert wind.
I know.
On
I still
There's the fucking
on the trip.
yeah.
I still think it's a mistake to not extend it all the way to Portland if you're going to do that. Don't just have a weird stub end in
What?
BC.
It's not
That's
going to
very
Portland?
bad.
That's useless.
Because Portland has not expressed interest in the way that other places have.
I don't know why
They
wouldn't
have
they?
bigger fish to fry at the moment, probably.
Yeah, but the funding's like now or never,
I know.
isn't it?
I know.
Can't we fry more
I'll
fish
take-
thanks to Amtrak Joe?
I'll take Boise. That's fine.
Ooh.
I'm gonna be able to go all
I'll
the way
actually
to
visit
Seattle on the damn
Boise
thing.
if they make it happen.
It's true, you should. It's cool for like a couple days. You can enjoy the bus subway.
The busway. The subway.
The subway. The bus.
The bussy hole. You like that?
No.
I was gonna do a parody spoof of our logo. Instead of the red line, it's the Coke line.
Do it.
So I might be doing that
Do
tonight.
it. Do it. Do it.
Welcome to the Coke line.
We need like a
podcast.
Twitter logo rotation.
Well, we have a Christmas one.
Okay, when we don't have a Coke one yet.
Well, we're gonna have one
I'm
tonight.
gonna have one now. Okay, live in 5. Never mind. Live in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the internet. Live from the Marriott Library at the University of Utah. This is the Red Line Podcast. I'm your host, 23 Amtrak episodes in a row, and these are my co-hosts.
Kyle, I like trains. Holland and
Alex likes appropriately sized trains that can fit into the siding. Fielder. UTA's new quote-unquote BRT project, OGX, is opening next month. So today we're discussing the history of transit in Ogden, Utah. All this after the news.
yeah, at least we can have something happy to talk about
Oh,
other than OGX, i.e.
what
the
is this, the
history.
regional connector?
No, the history.
Oh,
The trolleys?
it's not too history happy, honestly. After over a decade of work, LA Metro's regional connector is finally open. The 1.9 miles of new track through downtown LA will allow trains from the A and E lines, which previously terminated at Metro Center, to run through downtown onto the previous route of the L line. Trains are expected to run every 8 minutes on both lines during rush hours and every 10 minutes during off hours, as well as every 20 minutes early in the morning and late at night.
Whoa, they're running service in their tunnel?
Interesting
Could not be
concept,
San
right?
Francisco.
What are you talking about? They have a train every 90 seconds.
No, the new tunnel.
Oh, yeah, that has a train every 10 minutes.
Mm.
Yeah, not great. The newly expanded A line is also now the single longest light rail line in the world, and it takes about 2 hours to traverse its nearly 50-mile length.
I saw that.
That's a pretty decent average speed for light rail.
25? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting longer.
Based.
It's going to be like 60 miles by the end of the decade.
Utah is just uncompetitive here, and we have so much potential.
We could win this if we did the South Davis extension to the Blue Line and the Central
extension.
Corridor, the Orem extension to the Blue Line. We could have the longest light rail line in the world.
Yeah.
But we are choosing not to, and I think that is a disgrace.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other fun facts about the regional connector: it cost, guess what, $1.9 billion, since we're doing billion-dollar-a-mile subway construction in this country now.
How many dollars is that a foot?
It doesn't matter too much. Like 50,000.
190,000 a
Oh,
foot.
great. $190,000 per foot.
That is also $16,000 per inch.
Yeah. Great job.
That's very helpful.
Also, because whoever planned it is stupid, it has operational issues built in because there's a flat junction between the two lines at the end where they have conflicting movements.
Wait, so they spent $1 billion a mile in this project, and there were
didn't
no
fly
underground
over.
flying junctions.
Yes,
Every subway has underground flying junctions.
they have a flat junction, and you just have conflicting movements for every single train movement, which is
What
great.
is this? A surface light rail corridor that was built for $35 million a mile? I don't think so.
So anyway, that's not great. And also, they replaced the really nice-looking, like, teal-blue color of the E line with the ugly yellow color of the L line, and I am not pleased with that. So that's my gripe.
Big upset.
Yeah, big upset. And rest in peace, the L line. You will be missed. You will be back someday. And that's all I got.
Yeah.
This
Oh, I heard some news this morning.
What'd you hear?
What did you
It's not good news.
Uh-oh.
Aw.
Utah is the third highest state in the nation for underage fatalities in cars.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
I have a feeling it has something to do with you can find a driver's license in a cereal box in this state.
This is true.
When I
That's
got
true.
my Utah driver's license after I switched over from my Idaho's license, the test was open book.
Yeah, I think it's a
Which I thought was
shame
very funny.
you don't have to get. I feel like you should have to have like a perfect score to drive. I don't know.
What do you mean? A 2-ton piece of machinery that can kill a lot of people?
I also think they should teach you how to use roundabouts, which they didn't
That
for
would
me.
be great. They did
and
not teach me
teach
either.
you to let the bus out.
Yeah, I really wish they'd let.
Dude, my
let me do
driver's
that.
ed did not take me on the freeway. Period.
Not once?
Not once.
Wait.
There was no training for that during the required instructor hours, and there was no other requirement to
Yeah,
do that at
I
all.
don't think mine did either, but we did drive up Emigration Canyon once.
How do you-
Cool.
How do you...
You don't
How-
drive around here without going on the freeway. There's no point.
There are like 10 freeways here. They go everywhere.
If you live in Utah and you're using a car for personal transportation and you
probably
don't
are
go on the
using a
freeway,
If you live in northern Utah.
okay. And if you don't go on the and you don't go on the freeway, then you just go buy an e-bike.
I still have friends that are scared to drive on the freeway.
Fair.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
scary.
It's
It's like
rightfully
40
scary.
billion lanes wide
You make
between
any
like
mistake,
Murray
you're
and
gonna
Salt
kill
Lake.
like 10 people.
Or one, because because 10 different cars.
And UDOT
Yeah.
does like really narrow lanes for a freeway,
Really?
surprisingly. Yeah. Like,
Well,
I go
that's
back
not
to
right.
Boise and I'm like, wow, this is much less stressful to drive on because the lanes are more wider in the freeway.
Yeah.
So,
I know, I'm used to driving on the freeway. Because there's no transit to Logan.
Yeah,
There's
when
no,
are we getting
there's
a
no train to Logan.
base tunnel under Sardine Line?
9-mile base tunnel to Logan. If the Swiss can do it, we can do it too. USA #1, etc.
Base tunnels are like not actually that expensive.
No, because they're simple.
You just
There's no utilities.
point it, you go.
Yeah.
Well, I also found out that Sardine Canyon doesn't go through Sardine Canyon, the highway. Everyone
Yeah.
calls Sardine.
Why not?
Because the old Sardine went through Sardine and the new Sardine doesn't.
Because it's better.
Oh,
Because,
gotta
it
make
is
it
safer.
wider, flatter, and straighter.
No, I wouldn't call that thing flatter.
Well, yeah,
Flatter.
Oh,
as flat as you can get.
dude, I drove through that thing in the middle of a snowstorm once
Mhm.
time, and that is still one of my most terrifying driving
The
experiences.
fact that there's no escape from Logan other than driving through that canyon
well, you
is...
can go the really
can go the
long way.
long way.
right?
You can go the north way, but that's still not much better. To be honest, like,
Be hilarious if we just did like a base tunnel.
or
Yeah,
just
car-based tunnel.
a based tunnel.
Now that's how you make a base
Now
tunnel.
that would be a
expensive.
based tunnel.
I'm canceling you,
Okay, well,
Anyway, this has been the news and assorted ramblings.
as always.
yep.
So, context time. Ogden is the northernmost of the 3 sister cities that form the core of the Wasatch Front, which is more formally known as the Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo Combined Statistical Area, a region of about 2.7 million people. We live here, fun fact.
And it's great.
Cool.
No comment.
Let's move on.
Let's move on from that. The city itself has a population of about 87,000 people and is the anchor city for a region of about 600,000. Ogden is known for its minor league baseball team, the Raptors, for being the home of Weber State University, and for being the closest major town to the Golden Spike, where the two halves of the Transcontinental Railroad were joined in 1869.
Oh yeah, the Raptors are pretty cool. Is it stadium, diamond? Oh, ballpark.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
Can be a stadium as well. But
Walked past it a few times.
I don't know. I
Like in a
think
block.
that... Look, I'm mad because the Bees are leaving for two reasons. One, because they're leaving, and I don't like that. and two, because their stadium has, like, objectively, like, the best view out the back of any minor league stadium in the country. Like, if you've ever been into Smith's ballpark, like, you just look out and it's just, like, mountains. So
It is a very nice
So you
stadium.
don't even have to watch as the Bees get crushed by whoever they're playing. So,
Go Bees.
go Bees!
Zzz.
I am excited about getting a major league team though. That's
Oh, we're going to have to do a whole episode on that, and I don't think that we should get it. And I'll explain why.
I would like to hear this.
Yeah. Railroading has always played an important part in Ogden's history. And although Salt Lake City is nicknamed the Crossroads of the West, that is our official city nickname, Ogden probably has more of a claim to that title, to be honest with you.
Being closer to the OG Crossroads.
Was Loserville, USA taken?
For Ogden?
No.
What? This is very problematic of you, Alex.
Sorry. I can help myself. I don't even feel that way. I just felt like saying it. We can cut that out.
No, we're not cutting it out. It's funny. Downtown Ogden is very cute. Most local activity, we're ignoring the junction, which is like the gateway but worse, or maybe better, I don't know.
Probably better because there's shops there that are open.
Yeah, but it's smaller, so like the total like aggregate number of shops in the gateway still may be higher.
Yeah, but are they nicer? Are they better to be in?
I don't know. They both have like a feeder and a couple Costa Vitas or something, and that's about it. So, yeah, but most local activity is concentrated on 25th Street and Washington Boulevard. I personally recommend visiting because there's a lot of interesting stuff to see. Unlike every other town in Utah, it's not very Mormon. So there are like, big Catholic churches and cool stuff like that instead of just like, 14 Massachusetts standard LDS churches.
They also have the train station. And they take
do?
a lot of pride in it.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it's cool. There's a museum in there and some stuff.
Got this whole
It has
venue.
I think it has a flattened penny machine.
It does.
So,
Wow.
for all you collectors,
You
go
can
do that.
Oh, and you'll be able to go see the last remaining UTA comic car there in a few months.
Wait, why? Could I...
They're putting it in
Comic
there.
cars are out of service, but
I-
UTA sold one to the museum
Oh, that's
Wait,
brilliant.
okay.
to preserve because it's an important part of Utah's real history now.
That's
Yeah,
cheap,
I never
too.
got
They
to
can
ride
just-
on one.
They can just
ride
haul
on
it up
one.
the
You
front
never
of the
run a
track.
Comet?
No, never did.
I really wish UTA would have done like a last ride of the Comet event where they just did like, 5 Comet cars chained together.
We'll
into a
take the
single
chain
train.
they have in the yard right now and
You
put that in
just-
service.
Fix that onto a locomotive. That may
Like,
not be the best idea.
Screw the platforms and the block signals.
Sure, Kyle.
We're training.
Yeah, I wish they'd done something like that. That would have been fun, but that's okay. Also, and I may be called out on this, second best skyline in Utah.
Yeah, what
Like,
competition
for
is-
mountains?
No. In
Buildings.
terms of buildings.
Buildings?
Like, they have a pretty decent, smaller city skyline there in
Yeah.
Ogden.
We
That's
got
pretty good.
Salt Lake, obviously. What other competition is there? Like Sandy's
Sandy's
Park.
developing something of a skyline. It's not very good.
What about the
Lehigh.
Sugar House skyline?
That's also developing, that's
Yeah.
true. And Provo, obviously, which is kind of pathetic given that their tallest building is like 8 stories. But,
Yeah,
Yeah.
as much as the other places may have skylines, they're just short.
Yeah,
not
but
really
Ogden's
competitive.
is cool. You know, you come over like the hill on Front Run and you see this like, hey, it's Ogden. There's the municipal building. There's the Cache Valley Bank building. There's the
Oh yeah,
other
Ogden.
one.
Ogden does have like
Yeah.
Ogden does have like old buildings too.
Yeah, because
they're
it was
a real
the
city.
second largest city in Utah until very recently. So,
Cool.
Provo now?
no, West Valley City, I think,
Yeah,
or
that
maybe
checks
West
out.
Jordan.
Makes sense. Okay.
A lot of the Salt Lake City suburbs are really big now, so in terms of population
Yeah.
and space.
It's also hard to measure because West Valley is such a large land area.
It's true. Something else that should be noted, Ogden has somewhat of a, putting this politely, rough reputation among folks living in Utah, mostly because deindustrialization has hit it a lot harder than most places in the state. Ogden has a lot more in common with most Rust Belt cities than it does with other cities in the state. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Yeah, I always heard that there were gangs.
There's a lot
Straight
higher
edge.
crime rate than there is in the rest of Utah, really.
I've never had any issues, though, ever going
Well,
there, to
and
be
you see,
honest.
because a high crime rate for Utah means like a normal crime rate, because Utah has kind of an unnaturally low crime rate, even in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
So,
And we're also not in a gang. That helps.
yeah, that really
Mm.
does help. Like, the number one way to get yourself targeted in a place that's known for gang killings is being part of a gang, believe it or not.
Interesting.
That checks out, yeah.
And this also means that Ogden's still working on developing like a vibrant downtown.
Oh, yeah, there's empty lots all over the place. Like, it looks a little bit like, I don't know, downtown Detroit or downtown Cleveland, where there's just a whole bunch of empty space in, like, really prime locations.
But hey,
Yeah.
free parking.
There's a lot of that. So,
Because
you know.
there's not that much just raw volume of stuff.
Yeah.
They're still working on
I mean, I think it still beats downtown Provo, because downtown Provo is, to put it, it's pathetic. But,
It's nice, though. It's still nice to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still, you know, it's recovering. It's moving forward is what Ogden is doing.
Future location of the Red Line Podcast headquarters.
Is it really?
Maybe Logan.
No way. No, we're
Ogden
getting our
City,
we're getting
city
our
on the move.
$2 a month 50th floor
Oh.
office space at One Market in San
Oh, yeah, we
Francisco.
are.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Ogden City, city on the move.
no, that's Sosa
Crossroads and
I think they've
yes.
relinquished that title in recent years.
Yeah, for Sosa
Yeah?
Doto Sosa
It must suck not living in Sosola.
It really doesn't. I'm a big fan of living downtown, to be honest with you.
In Sola?
In Doto Sala. Yeah.
Yeah.
A brief history of transit in Ogden.
First streetcar lines opened in 1883 and expanded to about 10 miles by the end of the decades.
Cool.
Decade, not decades. Subsequent expansions and mergers led to the formation of the Ogden, Logan, and Idaho Railway, which operated part of the famous interurban line on which one could travel from far south of Provo, I believe Payson, to Preston, Idaho,
On cod, no carp.
on fully electrified interurban trains.
I take
I'm
it
gonna
you could
ignore what you just said.
get to Logan too?
You could, yes.
Awesome.
It's in the Ogden, Logan, and Idaho Railway because we used to just name things after where they went. So we could, for example, call UTA the
No.
Provo, Salt Lake, Ogden, and Suburban Railways / motor coach lines or something.
Must have been cool to live in a time where like trains were built to take people to destinations. And like all the destinations. And not just like whatever ones suit the political motives of the time.
Cough, cough.
Moving on.
Point of the mountain extension. Cough. Streetcar service continued to be expanded into the 1920s, spurred on by competition with Simon Bangberger of interurban fame. The Ogden Rapid Transit Company had, at its peak, nearly 20 miles of total trackage, along with the interurban railways to Logan and Salt Lake and all that sort of things.
That's
Cool.
Good for
And that's in city
the
limits.
size
That
of
is
Logan,
like
yeah.
significantly more local railway than Ogden currently has, and by significantly, I mean infinitely.
Oh, what boulevard is that? Hold on, I gotta look this up because there is a place in Ogden where for two city blocks, the streetcar tracks still exist.
Oh,
And it is
cool.
not on Harrison or Washington. It is on...
Well, probably because they would have repaved those ones, like, ever.
Yeah, that's true. It's on like a residential street with a lot of historical buildings on it. I believe it is Adams Avenue between... oh gosh, where is it? No. It is on... Yes, Jefferson Avenue between 25th and 27th Street. And so if you want to see like some old streetcar tracks in the flesh, go there.
Cool.
You can see them on Google Maps too, although it's not like super great. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I was very pleased to find them when I went there. So, anyway, you can still see some of them. That's not always super common. And they also unearthed some in the construction for OGX.
Oh.
When
Cool.
they were tearing out roadway. So.
And then they put in brand new tracks for the new light rail connector.
Funny.
That will eventually be extended all the way south of Salt Lake.
You are very funny. You are the funniest man I have ever met in my life.
Thank you.
All good things must, however, come to an end, and in 1935, all streetcar service was abandoned and replaced with buses. Just kind of like because the company went bankrupt, which is
that is how that works.
Normal story.
It is kind of the standard, streetcar city story.
Yeah.
Woohoo, subsidized automobility.
Yeah, various companies operated these buses until 1976. When I say various companies, I mean like literally 10 because there was a collapse every 3 to 5 years because you can't operate buses on a profit, it turns out.
Especially when you're fighting...
Highly subsidized automobility, yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
But in 1976, UTA bought out Ogden City Lines and other nearby bus companies. Then they rationalized the network. They created the Golden Spike Express, which you could, bomb down to Salt Lake City on if you were a, 1970s church office building worker or whatever.
There you go.
And that was that until 2008 when Frontrunner opened.
Hey.
Serving its initial 44-mile segment between Salt Lake City and Ogden.
Frontrunner continues to be something of a smashing success.
It was very popular. It is still very popular. It is currently carrying 14,000 people a day, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
That's the same capacity as I-80, right?
No.
I-15, I mean.
That's more like 140,000.
No, but the same capacity currently being used now.
We would need more double tracking if we wanted to have that kind of capacity, because I think you'd have to run 15-minute service to actually equal the throughput.
Okay, it's close, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If Frontrunner just had double tracks, they could do whatever they wanted.
Could just replace I-15 with it. But that being said... especially if you re-added the comets.
Yeah, or more realistically, you could replace all...
Bring them back, you cowards!
Or more realistically, you could replace all future highway construction and expansion in all of the Weber and Davis counties.
Weber and Davis?
Don't hear you.
Yeah, that's some communist...
Yeah, excuse me for trying to save money and promote a government that, spends less money.
Sponsored by Walmart.
Sponsored by Walmart, not really.
Drive here.
Yeah.
True.
There's a parking garage one, even though no one's ever needed to use the upper level of the parking garage.
Is it even open?
No.
It just triples
the parking garage on
the
13th.
Ballpark one, yeah.
It's open. You can park up there.
They never let me in. I want to go park up there now.
Oh, I've parked up there.
I want to say I parked on the second level of a Walmart.
The Walmart parking garage just
It's-
triples any existing sketch factor.
They have a specific dedicated cart elevator
Cool.
to go up to the second story.
Wait, so
That's
we
really
you
cool,
you
though.
push your car and then it takes your car up and then you add the escalators separately.
can
That's what I call automobility friendly design.
Yeah.
So we can
seriously.
use cart escalators or elevators to accommodate double-decker parking garages that nobody uses and makes Walmart feel sketchy, but we can't use them in this bloody state to accommodate multi-story grocery stores?
Yes. Except Smith's.
They don't.
No, but they don't have the car.
No, they only have a
elevator.
standard elevator, and you're really not meant to use it.
I guess
that
it's
is
a
kind
car
of annoying,
escalator.
isn't it? That does make it kind of... You can use the regular elevator, though.
You
You
can, but it's not going to
it's
be
not
pulling any
cool.
volume.
That's true.
It's not.
kinda
It's
cool.
not awesome as everything.
Yeah, but more importantly for OGX, the success of Frontrunner and the many students who were using it to commute to Weber State University with a rather long bus transfer prompted UTA and other local officials to start looking into ways of improving service between Ogden Central, Frontrunner's downtown Ogden Station, and the university. And thus was born the Ogden streetcar, the subject of our episode today. Wait a minute.
Whoa! UTA building an actual streetcar.
Ow! We've been robbed.
We have been robbed just a little
They
bit.
have been robbed.
Actually, more than a little bit if we're going to get
Okay,
into it.
where would this hypothetical
Let's break my
streetcar...
heart real quick.
Well, you got to
Quote,
understand...
streetcar, unquote, which is really just a tracks line. Where
You
would
got to
that have gone?
understand that 2008 was smack dab in the middle of the era of massive rail expansion on the Wasatch Front.
Yes, it was.
UTA had just finished building its first commuter rail line, and ridership was still booming on the less than 10-year-old light rail system, TRAX. The Frontlines project, undertaken later in the next decade, would see trackage operated by UTA nearly double, with 5 new light rail alignments and a doubling of the total length of Frontrunner. And before it even began, everyone wanted on board. Everywhere wanted a new tracks line. We were going to build a tracks line to Utah County. We were going to build a tracks line to Davis County. We were going to build a tracks line directly to your house.
Which would have been brilliant given all the, readily available freight corridor that UTA already owned at the time.
Interesting. Ogden, of course, was no exception. And they're like, wow, that S-line thing, that's pretty cool.
We wanted slow, low-capacity train, too.
Yes. And so, in 2011, UTA released a draft report stating that either a streetcar, yeah,
Streetcore vibes.
or a BRT line would be the most viable options for the corridor because there was no readily available right-of-way, so a tracks line wouldn't have made much sense. Even though that's probably what everybody really wanted, but
I mean, looking at the size of some of these streets, they could have just put a tracks line in the middle of the street.
Well, would it have actually been a running streetcar? Or it would have been a slide?
Probably not.
Okay.
It would have
so
just been...
It would have been a single car.
Single car
Okay.
tracks line. Yes.
Why not make it a longer tracks line?
They just know how to crush me.
And the line, whatever form it would take, would have run along 23rd Street from Ogden Station until it reached Washington Boulevard, then turned south, and then back to the east on either 25th or 30th Street until it meets up with Harrison Boulevard to go down to Weber State University. That was going to be the alignment either way, and initially the 30th Street alignment was actually preferred, even though it's now
Really?
shifted to the 25th Street alignment, because NIMBYism mostly, because it would have been faster.
The 30th Street would have been?
Yes.
Awesome.
I can see that just looking at the map because it's like big, fast car burr.
Mm-hmm. So, the streetcar was selected as the desired alternative by both local officials and the city.
Understandable.
And it looked like there would soon be a second UTA streetcar in operation.
Woohoo!
Okay. What's the kick? Just
What's the catch?
tear my heart out, please.
So by the time that everyone had decided that UTA was going to build a new Ogden streetcar, Frontlines was almost finished, and UTA was entering its get busted for corruption era. When the state legislature definitely did not execute a coup against UTA leadership and replace it with toadies.
Yeah, for like the tiniest bit of corruption
Okay,
ever.
not toadies, just, different people.
For like the tiniest bit of corruption ever, they could have just done some
Replace
like
that
ass
one guy.
slapping.
Well, what was the corruption again? It was just
It
giving
was
out
something to
contracts,
do with
right?
the TOD contract for,
Yeah.
I think, Midvale Center Station, where the townhouses are.
Just
and
giving it
that's
to...
it.
And that made them overhaul the entire board. And,
That's it. They're not
I
like
believe so.
embezzling
Like,
buses.
Give them an inch, and I'll take
well, and a couple of,
Wow.
junkets, but that's kind of just par for the course for public agencies. So
Yeah, the Red Line podcast thinks that the
corruption
state,
is good if it does things that I like.
The Red Line podcast, excluding this host, thinks that the state should have just replaced the board members that did bad things.
instead of restructuring it to a 3-member board system that wildly that gives like way more power to outlying areas than it should? Yeah, I think so as well. Because, you know, the 1.3 million people of Salt Lake County and have one representative, and the 600,000 people of the Provo and Ogden halves each have their own representative.
Did they just make the electoral college for
Yes.
the UTA board?
So that the south and north suburbs have an overwhelming amount of power on the UTA board, even though they don't.
Yeah.
Even though, first of all, they pay a lot less than Salt Lake County does.
Yeah.
Second of all, they ride a lot less than Salt Lake County does. Like, Salt Lake County is like 80% of UTA ridership, period. And
But we love equal representation.
And all I'm seeing is a UTA user is a UTA board that is like much less effective at making smart long-term decisions.
well, look at it this way. When we had the old board that was maybe slightly corrupt, we were doing massive expansion all the time, and ridership was actively improving, and we have seen stagnation and decline since it was replaced.
Yeah,
And while that is somewhat due to outside forces,
like money.
well, and also there was a general decline of transit ridership in the United States between 2015 and 2019 of about like 5 to 10%. But we didn't have to do that because there were other metro areas that bucked the trend by, get this, massively expanding service, aka Seattle, aka...
Yeah. And we've never been hit as hard as other places are with like construction cost increases.
No, so
We're fresh out of excuses.
we're fresh out of excuses, and the board restructuring probably cost us 10 years in terms of further expansion.
Which we can't afford because, you know, like...
Because suddenly costs got way more expensive. Like, in 2015, the cost snake was not as much of a problem as it is now, and if we had kept building things after Frontlines, we would have a lot more for a lot less money than we currently
So
have.
many of the cost snake problems can be attributed to just stopping building.
Yes,
Cost Snake grew up.
it did grow up.
we're
The
back.
higher costs of the streetcar suddenly became a big issue, even though,
It's not.
and I would, well, it is, but I would like to mention that at every stage, UTA has wildly underestimated the cost of building OGX as a BRT project.
So
And
now
will
that we
get into
have
that.
the actual cost that it actually costs to build OGX, how does that compare to the estimate for the streetcar?
much more
as those are.
favorably.
Much more favorably for the streetcar.
Well, yes. I mean, the
Great.
streetcar still costs more, but not like...
A game-changingly amount more.
UTA's initial estimate had the streetcar costing about 4 to 5 times more.
Whew.
Currently, less than twice as much.
At which point the benefits of the streetcar easily outweigh the costs.
outweigh the costs, yes. But anyway, the state decided that they were going to clamp down on UTA spending any more money.
Oh no, the
Fantastic.
transportation agency spending money. We'd better clamp down on UDOT's $1 billion a year capital budget too.
And so UTA switched to a BRT project even though everyone wanted a streetcar.
Because it was in theory cheaper.
Because it was cheaper.
Is
could've-
this when the change to the federal government wanting BRT
That
came
had
around?
already happened. The federal government, this was still during the Obama administration, so the federal government liked building streetcars and
Obama high-speed
BRT.
bus.
Okay, so...
Those are the two things the feds liked building.
So the feds would have had our backs on either of those.
Probably.
Okay, so it was just cost then.
Yes.
Somehow I imagine this whole BRT could have been like cost effective if they'd just built a bus with nice stops.
Or if they just hadn't and ran it at 10-minute frequencies because the travel time improvements from Route 603 are very marginal.
Was this before UVX?
No, this is
This is still before UVX.
Okay,
so
so-
UVX is not finished yet.
So besides cost, there was not a good reason to start on a BRT project?
I mean,
There-
not really. It was just costs.
Because
It was
the
just
main-
money.
they've already known how to
We had the-
build streetcars.
We had the
because-
Magna Express, which was very imperatively not a BRT and just an express bus.
it was an improved bus.
So
no, it was just an express service on Route 35.
Well, they did like actual street improvements too, like queue slips and
For,
some
like,
fancy stops.
1 mile.
It's an improvement.
So instead of using the knowledge we had and the people we had who already knew how to build rails,
Yes.
We decided to just change it up because of cost.
So it's not
only.
like a BRT makes sense in the grand scheme of things.
That's
it's like
great.
they're just trying to cut it down to the streetcar.
Ogden's long-term vision for the corridor is to eventually replace the BRT with a streetcar.
That's
but get this,
cost-effective.
on the 30th Street alignment because it's still better.
Hey, but why build it once, right?
When you can build it 50 times.
Yeah.
Why build it once when you can build it twice? That's the American way.
Twice, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you got to do phased construction too.
Yes. So, yeah, UTA and the city switched to a BRT project in the mid-2010s, and construction began on OGX in 2021 as soon as it received its name, which stands for Ogden Express, if you didn't know. Construction on the WSU, Weber State University segment, was completed in 2022, and the Wildcat Shuttle precursor line operating only on campus has been operating as Route 602 since last fall. Substantial work was completed in early June of this year. Driver training will begin early in July, and the grand opening is planned for August 2nd, which you guys, if you can, will be going to, because I will be out of town.
Nerd.
Yeah, sorry.
I can probably make it.
Okay, if you can, I'd appreciate it, because I want to,
do the thing.
Get footage. I think I'm going to be able to get you a press pass, maybe. So.
Ooh.
Okay.
Nice.
I know, I'm already thinking about the thumbnail for this video. I'd love to get the OGX stop in front of the high school. I love that high school.
That would be very good.
Yeah. Us as the liberal news media.
So, let's talk about why OGX sucks, shall we?
Oh, please.
Number 1, cost-benefit ratio. What are we getting out of this line versus what it costs? OGX's total project budget is $130 million, which, it should be noted, is a simply enormous cost overrun from what was initially planned.
Okay.
What was the original plan?
So, the initial estimates in 2015 were for the 25th Street BRT option to cost between $40 and $56 million.
Right.
The cost benefits would be a lot different if they hit that.
That's not a small overrun, is it?
That is not a small change in price. We shouldn't call it a project. We shouldn't call it an overrun, but it is a change in price. How much? So, given that the original streetcar line, the 25th Street streetcar line, would have cost $220 million to construct, you can see how kind of, $40 to $50 million might compare very favorably against that.
Yeah.
Even with, it
being a
less infrastructure and less, dedicated infrastructure for that matter as well. But
it looks good
at more than half of the, at this cost, at $130 million to $220 million, that's a much less, salient kind of cost difference for the infrastructure difference.
So why were they so off? Just because of cost snake, or?
We'll get into it because OGX is not a transit project.
Oh.
I will reiterate, I like this change of price way of talking about this because we really don't care that much that it's an overrun. We mostly care how much did it cost, period.
I do.
I mean, it matters, but not as much as how much did it cost.
I think it
like, having an overrun is poor project management.
This is the first ever overrun in UTA history.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
true.
we live in a red state, and stuff like that can get pointed at and be a pretty good argument for a lot of taxpayers.
Yes.
So that's that much. That's
yes.
$30 million.
And the bad part of this is that they spent so UVX, right, is our currently operating bus rapid transit line here in Utah.
Yes,
it's about 11 miles long. Most of that is in dedicated lanes. It is very fast, and honestly, I'm a fan, even though I don't particularly agree with that particular typology of rapid bus.
And even if you're not a fan, it pulls huge ridership.
Yeah, it's very good ridership, although that may be more of a function of the fact that it runs every 6 minutes than that it is a specifically, bus rapid transit service, given that it runs on high-speed arterials already.
Yeah, but nonetheless we got
And it's free.
pretty good ROI out of the project.
Sure. I will admit fully, even if I think it probably would have been better as something else.
Not saying what.
UVX is a good project. And it cost $160 million for 11 miles, almost fully dedicated lanes, yada, yada, yada. Right? Good project.
I don't think it's almost fully, but it's certainly mostly.
It is almost fully.
What
Everything
was,
except the section between Orem Central and UVU and around Brigham Young is dedicated lanes.
That checks out.
So
what was the cost projection for that project?
it was $160 million.
Gee whiz, is that how a budget works?
We're talking, so for context, per mile of like dedicated guideway, we're talking like $15 million on UVX.
Yeah,
Okay.
give or take.
Pretty decent, right?
I've
Now,
heard worse.
first of all, OGX is less than half of the length of UVX. It is 5.1 miles versus roughly 11 miles.
And worse yet, it only has 1.5 miles of dedicated lanes.
A mile and a half.
Yeah,
mile
so
and a
less
half.
than half of the total route length is covered by dedicated lanes. And yet, it only costs $30 million less than UVX, which is better in every way.
The math is not mathing right
The
now.
math
is
is not
it?
mathing. And I believe that Kyle and I figured out that the cost per mile of like actual dedicated lane is like $80 million. $80 million per mile of paint.
I mean, if we want to be
That's-
generous, we could peg it at 50 or 60 million, but that's still completely
couldn't,
unreasonable. Well, you gotta like dig up the road elsewhere for fun.
Yeah, for fun. Because
Yeah.
So
It's a
why
bus.
does it and all of this for only a very marginal time improvement on Route 603.
Yeah, what are their projected travel time improvements?
18 to 20 minutes. 603 does it currently in 19 to 23 minutes.
What?
So it's like
Wait.
at best like shaving 4 to 5
Is
minutes
it like
off.
I was gonna suggest it might be substantially more reliable, but there's barely any dedicated lanes, so what does it matter?
And it would be higher capacity if, like UVX, it used articulated buses, but it's using regular 40-foot electric buses instead.
Which we have long been advocates of being able to run standard buses on your improved bus corridor.
Oh, but it gets better because to accommodate those standard 40-foot buses, UTA has decided to do contraflow running on bus lane sections so that the regular 40-foot buses can use island platforms.
One street, Van Ness in
so they
San
will run
Francisco.
the opposite direction of
Just
traffic on the wrong side of the
Do
street.
what Van Ness did.
They're going to do this on the Mid-Valley Connector, too.
Yes, they are.
Because
It's in
they
the
are
plans.
obsessed with not doing side platforms,
But
even
why?
though there's a very good, like...
Van Ness in San Francisco
Well,
does
and
set
those-
to running bus lanes.
Those platforms are not good for UTA because UTA likes wider platforms than that for ADA purposes. But I will submit to you the Interstate Avenue Max in Portland, which simply staggers its side platforms on opposite sides of the intersection so it can do island platform level of space with side platform level of...
I believe Van Ness
Goodness.
also does that. They just half-ass the platforms.
Yeah, the platforms are just small because San Francisco streets are very narrow and you would have had to take away another lane of traffic to get decent platforms in there. So, basically, what we have got is an in every way worse project for way more money.
With like dubious benefits over just like the bus that was already
Over
there.
just increasing frequency on the 603 to every 10 minutes during peak hours.
So, was this the planned project when they pitched the price? Like,
No.
they planned on only having 1.5 miles of dedicated lanes?
Very doubtful. When UTA originally decided that it wanted to start doing BRT, it wanted to do them like UVX.
Makes sense.
Because you can even claim...
Lots of bus lane.
You can say this is a transit project, could you?
No.
If it doesn't improve transit.
Well, it might marginally improve
No.
run times.
3 minutes, that's nothing.
We'll have to see what the real numbers are. It could be a bit
It
better.
could be better or worse. You know, you have to test these things.
So
But
there will probably be some
probably
small
But-
doesn't improve it, very much, and there's a marginal improvement to frequency that you could have done without spending $130 million. And also, the stops are nice. They're not that nice. The stops.
So maybe they should have just spent like $10 or $20 million putting up some nice stops and painting side-running bus lanes on Harrison.
See, the nice thing about the streetcar is you couldn't have half-arsed it.
No.
Yeah, it's physically impossible to half-ass a streetcar. It's still a train.
So we got a project that is in every way worse than UVX for way more money than UVX.
And therefore, we can't realistically expect to perform as well as UVX or provide the sort of return on
investment. Well, it's
going to
be free for 3 years.
We should...
That does not solve any of the problems.
Yeah, it does. Free transit will solve all of our problems.
Yeah, by making transit free, you make it like actually a better mode of transportation. Obviously. That's definitely how that works.
I'm just... why don't... We should make a... Well, maybe I'll talk about this later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go later.
Okay, so ill-designed project. Now let's get to like the evil part.
So as I keep mentioning, let's pull up something. I'll send it in the Discord real quick so you guys can see.
Is this the map?
This is the map doesn't matter.
Oh, the cross section.
The cross
oh my
section.
Goodness. They have the cross section on their like public facing website. You don't even have to dig for it.
They're proud of it.
Why would they be proud of this? This is so bad.
And I think we can put this up on screen. So Alex, make sure you put this up on screen.
Okay.
I'll send it to you guys.
Yeah, send it over.
Put it in the document if you want it on screen, if you would.
Oh, that's better, actually. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
So we're going to put it here. So, in the process of creating this new thing, Harrison Boulevard has been, to put it politely, enormously embiggened. So it was, previously like...
A 5-lane, I think?
A 5-lane arterial. And now, at the intersections where there are OGX platforms, it is as many as 10 lanes wide.
UTA, you're a transit agency.
10 lanes. Yes,
not to
right.
mention the ass-awful curb-tight sidewalks.
And I'll ask Ollie if we can use his picture here as well, because he has a really good picture of this that he took.
Wait. So...
But here's some before and after pictures taken by our good friend Ollie, who is a guy who works at UTA.
Thank you.
This is the before image. Oh, hold on.
Okay.
It's a pretty bog standard 5-lane arterial.
That's a reasonable street. I'll
okay,
give you that.
Before you switch, in an ideal world, I would be expecting the same before and after that we're getting on 2nd South in Salt Lake, which is the street is like
you replace one
the
lane
same
with buses.
Yeah, and then you put some cool platforms.
Hey, show me the money.
What the? This is like worse than any real world intersection flowering I've ever seen.
Wait, hold on. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, wait.
10 lanes.
Wait, so the buffer for the BRT, it's not even a physical buffer?
No, it's just paint.
It's just paint.
There's not enough
paint.
clearance.
There's a rubber
you have to add more
There's a
space.
rubber strip in the middle to keep people from turning across it, though.
Great.
Wait.
Unlike on UVX, where I believe there is an actual concrete buffer the entire distance.
How much of the 1.5 miles is this?
Most of it.
I mean, obviously not at intersections.
Okay, so
it won't be as wide.
And as you can see, so the buses will run normally in this section, and then they will cross over to run contraflow into the stations. I'll ask him if we can use this picture.
Please, yeah, we gotta.
Dude, also imagine driving that.
So I've driven this before in a car, and it's terrible.
And now it is 10 lanes wide at the widest place.
Wait, so what? It's just a roads project, isn't it?
It's just a highway.
It's not a transit project.
Because
it does not improve anyone's quality of life, does it?
Well, it might marginally improve quality of life for some people riding OGX.
And then
I will say there will be marginal improvements.
And then it will make quality of life worse for people living like around this road.
And pedestrians.
Well, yeah, the pedestrian experience is going to get way worse, which is funny.
This is not what you're supposed to do on transit projects. You're supposed to make it better.
Basically, this is a highway project that is... So here's my new theory on BRT projects in Utah.
We are deriving this theory also from the Mid-Valley Connector project, also by UCI.
And the South Davis corridor project, which
there's
will
a
be doing
bloody
the same
another one.
thing. And the FX2 in Portland, which did the same thing, except without any bus lanes. Every single recent BRT project that I have seen that is a quote that is actually meant, that's like, this is a BRT project and not just like a bus improvement project or whatever, is just a way for highway agencies to get federal transit funding and use it to improve roads. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can argue against that too well, to be honest.
Like,
I think that's... You just look at it, and it's difficult
we are
to
looking
disagree.
at the literal pictures. They are doing a road widening.
Yeah, it's just a road widening.
It's an
intersection improvement and road widening project.
intersection flaring.
It just doesn't
Improvements
make
at the
sense.
stretch.
Well, it'll improve traffic flow.
It will increase mobility, is UDOT's favorite way of putting
yes,
it.
increasing mobility.
I wouldn't say that's... You already had the bus. You already had...
I would simply have spent, if you're going to do this, just simply spend a couple $1 million on making stops a little bit better, and then run the bus every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
if you really...
voila, you have the same outcome without spending $130 million of transit money on a road project.
And if you really, really want bus lanes, just do paint.
Yes. Oh, and they also, repaved all of the roads that the bus will run on.
Because we're siphoning away all these transit dollars for road improvements.
So, yeah, it's very bad.
It's worse than I thought it was, I'll tell you that.
And I have written down here as a conclusion, quote, something, highway agencies co-opting transit projects to expand roads, something. It is happening everywhere. FX2 in Portland, Mid-Valley Connector, South Davis Connector, and just about everywhere else that is doing BRT projects these days. So maybe stop. If you're going to build a rapid bus, do it in a way that is not stupid and takes advantage of the advantages of buses rather than trying to make a light rail line out of a bus or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. This OGX project is like all of the disadvantages of a bus combined with all the disadvantages of median running light rail.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Combined with all the disadvantages of street running light rail.
Yes.
Why would GTA even go for a project like this? Like, what
The board
what does this serve?
The board was replaced, and now that we have a disproportional influence in smaller areas with less transit ridership, you will notice that there are more projects in those areas. UVX, OGX.
The Mid-Valley Connector. The other one
Mid-Valley
was.
Connector's in Salt Lake County.
Oh, yeah, true.
So we're seeing more projects that maybe shouldn't exist happening in places because those places have been sort of left out by past transit expansions.
We just discussed the ulterior non-transit motive. Like these $130 million, they're still investments
Yeah, and also
into something.
UDOT has a lot more power over UTA than it used to.
What? It's such a colossal waste of money.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you just improve service elsewhere to improve ridership and get more money to actually do good projects?
That's funny.
Why don't you just like...
Why would you do that when you could not?
Yeah. This is easier. This is much more efficient. Yeah.
And you can cut a ribbon on it as well.
You can cut a ribbon.
Again, I think we should normalize ribbon cutting
You can
ceremonies.
cut a ribbon on like
things.
the LA wave.
Why don't we
bus
have a 200
stops.
South ribbon cutting?
we're gonna put the sombritas in and
You can cut a ribbon on that.
I think if people want their pictures with like projects, just like do it for cool stuff.
Dude,
Hey, but at least it will be battery electric buses. Alex is flailing angrily.
Ah, yes, the dedicated line that we spent $130 million on. We can't afford goddamn overhead wires.
Yes.
Like, I know we don't have the climate of San Francisco or the maintenance department of Muni, but for $130 million for 5 miles, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Counterpoint. Moscow, Russia, who extensively uses both trolley buses and trams in the worst climate on Earth.
All right, you win. I concede my previous point. I was completely
Seattle, Vancouver.
Vancouver does it well.
wrong. All right, you're right.
There is no climatic... Boston! There is no climatic well, not anymore. There is no climatic obstacle to trolley buses.
Or at least none that is insurmountable or negates their benefits.
So anyway, OGX is a bad project. I'm still excited for it to open. That's all I really got to say.
I don't think I'm too excited, to be honest.
It'll be cool. It's nice to have something new, even if it sucks.
Even if it's objectively a waste of money with few benefits, it's really just a road widening project.
It's light rail on rubber tires, okay?
It's fully grade separated, and the stops are really nice,
or at least
and people ride it, and
grade differentiated.
No, that's the actual term for median running light rail is grade differentiation. You have a physical barrier between. Anyway,
that sounds funny though.
So. Yeah, that's OGX. Patrons, thank you for who pay us to complain about OGX.
Yeah, and being in actual physical pain.
Yeah. It's not great, guys. I have been frustrated with this project since I learned it was happening.
I can't blame you.
I would simply just make the stops nicer and run more damn buses. Could also directly solve car traffic too.
Simply ban all cars? That's a great way to solve car traffic, if you believe it.
I mean, I was thinking charge for parking and toll interstates, but
So
people will kill you if you charge for
at super duper base tunnel to Logan electrified frontrunner tier, we have Zach Adams, $69.69 a month.
Woohoo!
Yay!
It's a Zach Adams.
Very good. At regular frontrunner tier, $10 a month, we have Curtis Herring, Devin Zander, Mike Christensen, and Phobos 2390 or 2390, depending on how I'm feeling this day.
Thank you all.
Yeah, our $5 tier, the red line tier, we have Brian Smith, Christopher Whaley, DJ
Hi, Will
Watkins, Generic GT, Jacob Whitecotton, Reluctant LA Resident, Robert P. Walsh, and Scott Harris. You guys are crazy.
You're Chads.
Yeah. I love my red line tier.
Yeah. We still don't have any green lines.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
We do?
I know.
Yeah,
Let's do blue line first.
Oh, I'm doing the green line.
Blue line tier, we have Alex Dykelski, Ben Busath, Bradley Bondi, Elijah Kensler, Ethan McDonald, Evelyn, G4, Gonzo12, Jack Dean, John Heron Gorman, Martine Hecker Martinez, Matt Gray, Old Trolley, and Seth.
Thanks. And finally, after 2 years of podcasting? 3?
Close
to 2 years of podcasting and
yeah.
patrons.
On our Green Line train to the Salt Lake City International Airport, we have
Patrick Salas, previously
something.
Blue line.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, or something. It doesn't matter. We're glad you're a Green Line tier.
Hashtag not like other supporters.
Sign up for Patreon at $5 a month. You get early access to episodes, which we actually post now. A Patreon exclusive episode almost every month, as well as access to our Discord and stickers. And we're going to be doing more patron stuff soon, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah,
cool.
And keep in mind the Green Line tier, the Green Line, goes to the Department of Natural Resources map and bookstore.
It does, which is a brilliant.
Best places to go if you're in some
brilliant store.
Yeah.
I own several of their maps.
So yeah,
I'm very sad. Yeah.
Thanks, patrons, for listening. Everyone else, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube and to leave us a rating on iTunes or Spotify. You can find us at www.trlpod.com for all your the Red Line podcast needs, including merch.
This is true.
Yeah.
Merchandise.
Anything else we need to plug?
Oh, video idea. Ride the bus that's going to be the OGX. With a stopwatch. before it becomes OGX.
Oh my god, we should
and
do
then
that. Then you guys will. I can't. I will be in San Francisco, California.
Well, we got to do it before it turns into OGX.
No, so it's going to open on August 2nd. So if you guys have time on the night of August 1st to go up.
What
I
day
get
of
on
the
my
week
train
is
on
that?
August 1st. That is a Tuesday?
So basically we just want to record it, stopwatch just the whole time, just getting on, sitting on the bus,
Yeah.
just let it run. And then the next day, same time, get
Same time
on,
of day, yeah.
see what improvement it is.
Maybe do it a little more artful than that. Maybe include like footage from the opening ceremonies
Oh,
and stuff.
oh, yeah,
And
no,
don't just let the stopwatch run. Like do.
I know we could cut between and make.
So, yeah, no, that'd be a good video.
Yeah, but that's an idea, and just
Okay.
see, we can get footage of everything happening, and
Yeah.
it could be fun. What day of the week is that?
So I don't have a calendar on me at the moment.
What day
I
is
believe
it?
August 2nd, the grand opening day, is a Wednesday. August 1st is a Tuesday.
August
Yep,
2nd,
that's
Wednesday.
correct.
I was right.
I forgot I could just open a calendar in my